Spurs was always going to be a big game when you looked at the fixture list, and given where the two clubs are, we're probably competing for that fourth spot in the Premier League. So there's a lot of pressure on this game on Sunday, let alone the fact that we've both started this season in mixed fashion. And we just had that frustrating draw with Twente after the Palace game. Now, I'm not in the camp. Look, I think Erik Ten Hag's got to win this game to save his job. All right? I don't think that's going to be the case. I don't think any of us are judging Ten Hag on a game-by-game basis in the same way that fans do. However, we keep losing games, all right? He will lose his job. That's a guarantee of any manager, all right? Guardiola loses 15 games in a row. Arteta, anybody. So this is a big one on Sunday, all right? And I'm going to run through the starting 11, my predictions. Let me know yours in the comments. Now, in terms of the season so far, it's bang on. Spurs and United, both their mid-table, 10th and 11th, played 5, won 2, drawn 1, lost 2. Only thing that's different is the goal difference. We'll speak about that. In terms of Spurs' last game, this was the starting 11 that they had. Now, the only question for Spurs, Postecoglou said, is for Son, whether he will start or not. Brennan Johnson's finding some form. Pedro Porro's always a threat. That right-hand side is definitely going to be where Spurs are most threatening. And United, Ten Hag knows that this game is going to be different. We all know this game is going to be different. It will be an intense game. And if you just take a look at Spurs' average positions here from their game against Brentford, it tells you everything you need to know. You already know this anyway. But Spurs play a ridiculously high line, all right? Romero's there, Van der Ven is there, and Porro is over there, and Udogie is over there, right? So much space in behind for United to exploit. However you go down that side, Van der Ven's an absolute athlete. You go down this side, Pedro Porro is very good at tracking back as well. It's why it works to a certain extent. We won't be able to play the same way that we played against Crystal Palace. There will not be the space afforded on the ball. They are going to press high. They're going to try and win the ball in attacking areas. And we're going to have to play differently. We're probably going to have to play a bit more direct. So, in my opinion, there would be some changes that I would make. It wasn't Ugarte in there. It was Eriksen. That was a starting 11 that we played against Crystal Palace. Now, defensively, that back five won't change. I'd be very surprised if it changed. I have, not massive concerns, but it feels like this season so far, Martinez has been slightly overly aggressive to the point where it becomes a weakness rather than a strength of his game. And I think if you do that against Brennan Johnson and Pedro Porro, first of all, you're going to get a yellow card very early on. Second of all, you're going to get exposed and exploited. So Dalot, it's going to be interesting to see whether Dalot maybe doesn't do the inverted fullback role in this game, and he actually operates as the one that drops into the back three, and it's actually Mazraoui who drops into the inverted fullback role. Just a little thing. That's something I'm thinking. But, of course, I think it goes without saying that Eriksen being in a midfield, starting midfield in this game is a big concern of all of ours, all right? Last few games, he's been a big reason why we've been able to control it a bit more, have the ball, scored against Twente. But in a game like this, there's... Hey, look, Erik Ten Hag may well start him, man, because Erik Ten Hag, he likes to kind of... If he finds something that works, he likes to stick with it. I don't want to see Eriksen start this game. I want to see... And I suppose it's down to fitness, right? Ugarte against Twente, I thought off the ball he made some good tackle. Was he perfect? No, he wasn't perfect. And it's going to take him time. But this is the best midfield three we've got on paper. And we need to see it at some point. And this feels like the right game for it. And look, you can say what you want about Bruno. And you can criticise him. And yeah, he has definitely been bang out of form so far this season. Finding the basics difficult. For some people, speeding up the game when sometimes you don't need to speed it up anymore when you've got players like Xerxes and Ahmad who can technically slow it down but also carve through teams in different ways rather than the balls over the top. But this is a game where we're playing with the most ridiculous, against the most ridiculous high line in the world. You want Bruno on the ball. You want him speeding it up. And that's why Bruno's starting this game. And I back him to get a goal or an assist. I'll always back Bruno. Of course, if he gets to 55, 60 minutes and it's really not working and Bruno looks frustrated, then Erik Ten Hag has to look to the bench. I think you're going to be looking more towards the likes of Collier and Mount in this game because of it will be an intense game. If we try to play it slow and Casemiro comes in or Eriksen's there, it's just, I'm massively concerned about that. We will get caught napping, we will get caught in possession, and Spurs will hurt us. Right? We'll be able to score. I very much think that both teams will score in this game, right? Now, somebody who definitely starts is Marcus Rashford, right? Marcus Rashford has to start on that left-hand side after that performance against Twente, where it kind of looked a little bit like Rashford. The Rashford that I know and the Rashford that we all love is someone who's just brimming with confidence. When he has the ball at his feet, you're like, well, he's going to get past this man. And he does. Whether it's turning inside, whether it's a little bit of skill, whether it's knocking it past him, Rashford in that sense really can be unstoppable when he's on form. We haven't seen that much. Now, it was only 20, sure. But I would start Rashford on that left-hand side. And I think I would start Ahmad on the right-hand side, okay? You could have Garnacho and Rashford, and you could play with those two fastest, most direct players in order to really expose the weakness here. But as I said, they've got Mickey van der Ven, and van der Ven is an absolute athlete. So I think if you're going to go the same thing on both sides, you might find that United don't actually have any sort of outball. So I'd rather on the right-hand side, you play Ahmad up against van der Ven, and maybe you wait for the overlaps, and maybe you cut inside on the right-hand side. Instead of just going pure direct over the top, like you will for Rashford, maybe you play a slightly different style on the right. Just how I think. And then you got Garnacho to come on in the second half. And we don't know, right, whether Xerxes or Hojlund is going to start in this game. Let me know in the comments, who would you start? Now, I think if he's fit, I would start Hojlund, but I don't think he will be. I imagine Xerxes is going to keep his space. And again, in the same way I'm talking about, maybe playing slightly differently with Ahmad on the right-hand side. If you can play up to... So if you can play from these deeper positions, Mainu or Bruno, and they're looking for the ball over the top to Rashford, hopefully into space, then alternatively, you could play it to Xerxes, let him control the ball a little bit, and maybe play it in behind for Ahmad, who's making the runs from these positions. And that's two different styles of attacking. Don't know. But either way, if you bring Hojlund off the bench or Xerxes off the bench, you're going to have subs that can impact this game. Probably Mason Mount. Probably Hojlund. Eriksen could if you want him to. It depends how the game goes. I don't know how this game's going to go. I'll be totally honest. If we attack in the same way we attacked against Crystal Palace, we'll create chances. But will we score them? The big question mark about United's season so far in the league. However, I don't think we will be able to attack in the same way that we did against Palace. Spurs just play with too much pace. The game will be fast. Now, that might catch Ugarte out, by the way. It caught Xerxes out against Liverpool. I think he'll be better in this game if he was to start. He'll be used to that pace of the... not used to the pace of Premier, but more used to it. My prediction, I'm going for a 2-1 United win. I'm kind of trying to will that into existence. We could have and should have scored a lot more goals this season. Because of how Spurs play, there will be chances. And Bruno and Mainu and Ugarte, they will find those runners in behind. Whether they score or not, that's the big question. All right? I'm going for a 2-1 win, but this game could go anywhere. United need to find their shooting boots, man. And please do it against Spurs. Because a win here, it would be big. Whether that momentum continues, I don't know. But it would be.